MackTruck, aka your worst nightmare. MackTruck, aka your worst nightmare. MackTruck, aka your worst nightmare. MackTruck.
Ladies and gentlemen,
good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of MackTruck in the Morning-ish, the MackTruck podcast, presented to you by the Underknown Network, as well as the TikTok stream. My name's MackTruck. Thank you for joining us today. Got a short docket, lots of details though. Majority of it being basketball from the WNBA to the NBA, from trade talks and new team pickups in terms of the Golden State Warriors, as well as some interesting news. And this part of the news is kind of goes with both, because it's an NBA player at a WNBA event, all kinds of things. Got some news and notes from there as well. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you here with us today. Go ahead and tap the screen, all of the things, and we're here today for you. Like I said, this is presented to you by the Underknown Network, as well as you, the folks, the viewers, the listeners. This is the closest to on time that we have been, and I'm kind of proud of myself. And that was with a bunch of chaos this morning. And that's totally fine, because as life of a parent is a thing. So thank you guys for sticking with me. I'm trying to get our major gift goal for the day set up here. Also, I did it, y'all. I did it. I remembered to make the community chat. I remembered to make the community chat this later last night. I am so proud of myself that we did that. Okay, it's a thing. And I'm here to let you guys know that I appreciate it. I really do. For sticking by me. Okay. All right. Got our gift goals set up, got everything. Set the like goal for 25K. I'm down with it. That's all on you guys. I'm just here to deliver news and information from everything. So like I said, talking majority basketball, and then sprinkling in some random controversies coming out of the NFL, specifically Judd York and the ownership of the San Francisco 49ers in this arrests that happened to him. Also talking about some trades in the NFL with Kayshon Boutte and the Texans. So let's get into it. Go ahead and share it out. Go ahead and post it on your stories. Let's get into the business here today. Like I said, this broadcast and everything is presented to you by the Underknown Network, as well as yourselves, myself included. I appreciate you guys for joining us here today. I am a little bit under the weather, so if it's a little bit harder to hear me, I apologize. And just so we're clear, just so everybody knows, there will not be a show tomorrow. It's my baby's first day of school, and I'm dropping her off, and I'm excited because I unfortunately missed school drop-off last year because I was in the middle of a move up here to Michigan. So this year I get to take her to school, and I'm excited. So I get to be a mom all day. I'm thrilled about it. But we are going to be here. Thank you for the daily heart me. I appreciate you guys. If you guys are in here, yes, please tap the screen, get your daily heart me's. Let's build the MackTruck community in its entirety. Tycoon Sports, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate it. Boss man, I see you in here. Thank you. Good morning, Jesse James. Good morning, everybody. I see everybody over here as well. We got some people watching early. If you're on any other platform other than TikTok, please share this out. If anybody is in the MackTruck podcast group, please share out the live feed for me if you don't mind. I did not get a chance to do that prior to going live on here. So let's get it started. Also, if you are not in the MackTruck podcast community page as far as TikTok, and you'd like to be, as far as like updates, dockets, that type of thing, please let me know. Drop a green heart in the chat if you're not in it and would like to be in it. I think I got the majority of everybody that has been around, all of the things. So we're going to talk about it. Like I said, I appreciate you guys for joining us here today on the show. I hope everybody had a good Tuesday. Listen, it's hump day. It's Wednesday. A little gloomy here in Michigan. It was pouring rain earlier this morning as my daughter woke both of us up. And I don't really know if rain was in our forecast today, but either way, we needed it in some way, shape, or form. So so here we go. Let's get on with the show. Listen, the NFL is hot right now. Obviously, we got preseason going on. We've got moving pieces that happened in the offseason that are now have now found a new destination in terms of where they're playing for the next 6-7 months of their NFL career, provided they don't get traded during the in-season trade deadline, all the things. But we're talking about the Houston Texans right now. And like I said, I appreciate you guys for joining me here. Please go ahead and share it out. Like I said, tap the screen. Let's get some people in here. Let's talk some football. Let's talk some sports. See what we can do out here in these TikTok streets. All of the things. Like I said, I'm a little bit under the weather. So if you can't hear me or you see me clearing my throat a lot, I apologize. I have major allergies, and this is actually the first time all summer that I've had really any issues with that. So let's get into it. This segment is also brought to you by this cup. If you know anything about this cup, shout out Big Ant, shout out Chad, shout out Kat. If you know anything about this cup, there's a specific reason behind this cup, but it's also brought to you by the coffee that's inside of it. All right, let's do it. So, Houston Texans make a huge move at wide receiver. The Houston Texans have made a move strengthening their wide receiver room, acquiring Kayshon Boutte from the New England Patriots. And when I saw this originally come out, I was confused because I'm like, why does the Houston Texans need another wide receiver? Then realizing that they also just lost Jaden Higgins, wide receiver out of Iowa State a couple years ago, to a training camp ACL tear, so he is out for the majority of the season. And not that obviously, if you know me, I'm never going to cheer on somebody's injuries. It doesn't matter how much I don't like the team. It doesn't matter how much I, hate, how much my fandom takes over. I'm never going to cheer for somebody's injuries. But what I do always try to do is look at the silver lining. So currently with the silver lining in terms of Jaden Higgins suffering this ACL tear at the very, very top of the season, there's a chance that if the Texans, have a good season and get into playoffs, he may be able to get back. It just depends on when he had surgery, how bad it was, all the things. So there's always a little bit of silver lining with injuries and things like that. So either way, like I said, they acquired Kayshon Boutte from the New England Patriots. Houston, they also sent Houston safety Jalen Reed and a 2028 7th-round pick to New England in exchange for Kayshon Boutte. The move comes after, like I said, Texans wide receiver Jaden Higgins suffered a season injury, ACL tear. You can find this information at NFL.com specifically, as well as ESPN.com, YahooSports.com, and really anywhere you get your sporting pleasure. Now, Kayshon Boutte is coming off a strong 2025 season, finishing with 33 receptions, 51 yards, 6 touchdowns for Houston. This is about giving CJ Stroud another weapon heading into the regular season, especially. You get another weapon, you lost a weapon, you get one, and then obviously you make the trade happen. So there's that in its entirety. So my take on all this is that the Texans didn't really have the luxury of waiting around after losing Higgins, because the injury happened during preseason and during training camp just before regular season takes off. So it's kind of just obviously you never want to lose anybody, right? You never want to lose an individual in terms of player. You never want to lose an athlete, but like I always say, injuries in sports are literally, you can try to prevent them as much as possible, but you're never going to avoid them. Essentially, someone's going to get dinged up, someone's going to get hurt, it just, that's just what it is. And I hate that, just because you want to be able to see your favorite players play. You want to be able to see, teams compete at a high level. And that's not saying that Kayshon Boutte is not going to do that, because he absolutely will and has already, being a part of that New England Patriots squad last year, the Super Bowl run last year. Hi, Big Ant. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Sorry, I just saw it if you've been in here. Hope you guys are having a great day. We're talking some NFL, talking the trade for Jane Reed and the 2028 pick to the New England Patriots for the the acquisition of Kayshon Boutte for the Houston Texans. My thing with this the entirety of like CJ Stroud, I think in some way, shape, or form, I feel like has to be on some kind of hot seat. And just because it feels like the Texans have really built up their team around him, but there hasn't been a lot of production from him. I mean, Texans had the number one defense last season, where number one marks all across the board for the entirety of the 17-18 game season. So for me, it's just like your defense can take you so far. Well, obviously defense wins championships. We know that. Your offense has to be at least average, if not just above. And with CJ Stroud, you have that, but it just seems like the more productive pieces he gets, it just seems like there's not it just seems like he doesn't do enough. So I would think in some way, shape, or form, he has to produce somehow, whatever that ceiling is. I mean, obviously with the ultimate ceiling being getting the Super Bowl, winning Super Bowl, all the things in between. I would think it would be a winning percentage of some kind. I would think, maybe creating some kind of incentives or reaching whatever incentives are in his contract, that type of thing. So I'm just interested to see how this goes for him in its entirety. I'm interested to see how they maneuver the offense around Kayshon Boutte now, rather than maneuvering the offense for what they had with Jane Higgins. So, and who knows, having Kayshon Boutte could probably open up their run game a little bit more too, because we also know CJ Stroud likes to run the ball when he needs to. He's not so much like a Jalen Hurts where his first reaction is to advance the ball and then throw. CJ Stroud is almost 180 the opposite. And there's nothing wrong with either style. Obviously, looking at Jalen Hurts, with that style he plays, he's won a Super Bowl and an MVP. So it's a thing. So I'm interested to see how the Texans do this. I'm interested to see how they maneuver. I'm also interested to see how the Patriots maneuver all this. Now you have another defensive back in your, whether you start him or you put him, you start him out on that second string team, but he's already assuming he's already on the 53-man roster. So either way, I'm excited to see this. I think, like I said, I appreciate you guys for joining me here. I see some people popping in and out. Go ahead and tap the screen. Go ahead and share it out. Let's get some more people in here. We're going to continue to talk football here on MackTruck in the morning, the MackTruck podcast in itself. Like I said, if you guys are not in the MackTruck pod community TikTok page, messenger page, please drop a green heart if you want to be added to that, and we'll add you to that. Like I said, if you've read the messages in there already, I'm not gonna go in there and blow you guys up. The only things I'm gonna do is just ask for your feedback, and then you can either reply in there or you can send it to my DMs. I'm also gonna start putting out the docket in the chat first and then posting it on social media. That way everybody can see everybody can see what's on the docket. If anybody wants to add to it, if they have a topic that they want me to talk about, all the things. So we're trying to tighten this thing up, make it a little bit more professional, make it a little bit more of a well-oiled machine. Also, huge shout out to the network, huge shout out to the Underknown Network and our executive producer, Evan Thunder Bradfield, and co-executive producer, Mr. FLG Gameflow, Mr. J Mac himself. Listen, make sure you're following everything on the Underknown Network, everything from the MackTruck Show to Flying Out with That Dude Biggs, Recognized Game podcast that's coming back to you soon, as well as On the Map and On the Map music reviews. So, like I said before, make sure you're tuning in. We'll have the official plug later on in the show. But back to the NFL here. Listen, so here's the controversy. Of course. Listen, boss man, you already know. Like I said, every day and every chance I get, I'm going to continue to show love to the network and the people that have been in here, for us, with me, all the things. So like I said, I do apologize. I don't feel great, but we're going to get through this and talk some sports and, all the things. So continuing on, the 49ers and the New Orleans Saints make a trade. The 49ers made a move acquiring running back Zamir White from the New Orleans Saints while sending the veteran linebacker Deion Jones over to New Orleans. The transaction was completed August 24th, which was Monday. You can find this information at NFL.com as well. Notable NFL contracts before we kind of get into this controversy that is the San Francisco 49ers ownership controversy, scandal, whatever you want to call it. Now, Obviously, Will Anderson Jr. with the Houston Texans agreed to a massive three-year, $150 million contract extension, including $134 million guaranteed, which is not crazy and crazy to think about. Like, because I feel like Will Anderson Jr., it seems like he just got to the league, but he's been in the league for a while. So it's just like he's one of those players that's been dynamic, but you're just like, dang, has he really been in the league that much? Like that, this long? So it's just like almost like nostalgic, but almost like, oh, like dang, like a off the top realization, like, oh, he's been here for a while. So okay, he's already out of his rookie contract and already into like a veterancy contract and extension. So it's crazy. Like I said, Houston is making major investments in one of the best and youngest defensive players in the game of football, and I love to see it. Drake London for the Atlanta Falcons. Drake London signed a 4-year, $140 million contract extension with $100 million guaranteed and a maximum of $150 million. Again, you can find all this information at NFL.com. Kyle Pitts also for the Atlanta Falcons. Pitts agreed to a 3-year, $54 million extension, including $36 million guaranteed over the first 2 seasons. So my takes on this, on just those notable contracts so far. Also, the Buccaneers finally got Vita Vea signed again, so hoping that he stays, and I'm hoping that somebody speaks up on Baker Mayfield's behalf, because ain't no way that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers shouldn't be paying him. So it's just frustrating to me. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I feel like Baker Mayfield has done a lot for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers since Tom Brady's retirement from the league. Maybe I'm incorrect. Can someone help me out with that if you're on either side of the chat? Like I said, I see some of the action going on here, and I appreciate you guys for joining me here. I said, go ahead and share it out. Go ahead and tap the screen. Let's get some people in here, talk some more sports, still talking NFL football, specifically the contract extensions and trades with Kayshon Boutte and the Texans, and the trade for Zamir White to the San Francisco 49ers in trade for Deion Jones to the New Orleans Saints in its entirety. So, and the other interesting thing about this 49ers, not so much to trade, but we're more or less talking about the scandal with Jed York. Unfortunately, with being a quarterback, it's a Super Bowl or bust. In terms of the Texans, DT, because if you're talking about in terms of the Texans, I actually highly agree with you. What I don't quite think, though, is I don't quite think D'Amico Ryans is going to just bench CJ Stroud unless something catastrophic happens, or he's just playing terrible football, which I don't necessarily see, but I definitely do feel like the production from CJ Stroud has to be damn near perfect, if not just under being perfect. So for me, I completely understand. I completely get it. That's how that's how sports normally works. Like if you've been in a system for a while and you're just not producing or not living up to the expectations of your contractor or whatever agreement that you and ownership have come across, I definitely agreed with the entire notion of Super Bowl or bust. So I definitely agree with you in terms of that. But back to this San Francisco 49ers scandal here. So for those of you who have not heard, in football land, there's a scandal going on with San Francisco 49ers owner Jed York. Unfortunately, this is one of the biggest stories in the NFL that has nothing to do with the sport of football in terms of playing football in its physical entirety. San Francisco 49ers owner Jed York was arrested in Ohio and has pled no contest to 2 misdemeanor charges of disorderly conduct and possession of criminal tools. Now, I'm going to stop right there. I don't quite know what criminal tools entail. And I see another comment here. I'm saying in general it's tricky, but yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it's tricky, but look at Lamar. I absolutely agree with you, DT. It's definitely something strange to maneuver in its entirety. But just going back to this 49ers topic in terms of Jed York, what exactly are criminal tools? Can someone explain what criminal tools are? I know what paraphernalia is. I know what intent to sell is. I know that, like, some of those things are. I've never gotten those things personally, but I've heard of them and seen them and all the things, but I don't know what criminal tools are. So I'm interested to know what that is. But so the meat and bones of it is the original prostitution related charge was amended to disorderly conduct as a part of the plea agreement. York was sentenced to jail time credited as time served and a $1,150 fine. And you can find this information at abcnews.com as well as NFL News and NFL.com in its entirety as well. The NFL has confirmed that it's reviewing the matter under the league's personal conduct policy, which obviously this happens. It doesn't matter if you're a player, it doesn't matter if you're a staff member, it doesn't matter if you are a coach or an assistant or coordinator. And obviously the NFL has to review everything, especially when it has to do with a legal matter, that type of thing. When you get in trouble with the law, all of the things, you have to, any league, doesn't matter if it's NFL, NHL, WNBA, NBA, et cetera, they always do an official league review of all the evidence, all the details, the cases, all the things like that. So the fact that this is being reviewed by the NFL doesn't surprise me in its entirety. But the fact that it happened the way it happened is interesting to me. And I was listening to a couple of my other favorite shows. For those of you who are late night people and haven't had a chance to, I encourage you to check out The Speakeasy, created by Emmanuel Acho. Not really guests, but co-hosts on there, Kieran Hickey Simple, LaShawn Shady McCoy, TJ Hushmanzada, and Social Trey White himself. And they were talking about it on yesterday's episode, about how the meat and bones of it were Jed York was in communications with a non-professional escort for like $140 at in a trailer park in Palestine, Ohio. And I see some comments here. TJ and Shady, right? Yeah, listen, I love TJ and Shady. Trey's like the awkward one. Like, he is like the social dude, like the technical dude. Kieran Hickey Simple is just popular because, like, he's had I mean, I don't say just popular, but like his popularity comes from like his social powers and sports casting prior to getting on the show. And I've never been a huge fan of Emmanuel Acho. I think he thinks he's smarter than everybody, and he thinks he's too sophisticated, and I don't like that personally, because to me, he always has not great and horrible takes, but this one specifically talking about Jed York, he actually hit it on the money. Like, you're making millions and millions and millions of dollars, and you set yourself up for failure by setting communications with a non-professional escort when you could have paid for a professional escort and still been like respect. You could have had respectability behind doing that, if that makes sense. So either way, like I said, Jed York sentenced to time credited and time served and a fine of $1,150. The NFL has confirmed that it is reviewing the matter under the league's personal conduct policies. What does this mean for the 49ers? Well, obviously, they've had a lot of things circling around the 49ers camp in its entirety in terms of off the field things. Obviously, the entire situation with Brandon Ayuk. Obviously, still trying to get some of those people back from injuries, waiting to get George Kittle back. They just got Fred Warner back. Obviously, Nick Bosa still trying to, get through his, mental psyche, trying to get himself mentally right to physically play again. He did get cleared to play. Obviously, you still have Christian McCaffrey. You still have Brock Purdy, obviously, everybody over there. You guys just got Mike Evans. So a lot of good things are happening out of 49ers camp. I personally don't think this is going to affect the football side of the 49ers at all in its entirety. It's just another thing for people like me and media outlets to talk about, like, in its entirety. Like, Jed, you could have did better. Personally, you could have did better. And just, it's a little disappointing to see people in give me just a second. My wife is texting me. Says the joys of being a hostess and a mom and a wife all at the same time. Okay. Um, so yeah, like that's the downside to this whole thing. And there's already been reports saying that it's not affecting the football side of things when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers. But what I do want to know is what you guys think. Like, do you guys think that the NFL is going to suspend York? Do you think there's going to be a fine? I mean, I think there could be either or. I don't necessarily think he's going to get released. Um, I don't think it's going to be a thing where the NFL releases him. I don't think it's going to be a thing where it's going to be anything major. I think he's going to get a fine and maybe a couple games suspension, maybe a couple days suspension from office, whatever that entails. I do know that the NFL has rules governing the obviously the conduct of its owners and executives as well as the players. So now the league has to determine whether additional discipline is appropriate or necessary on top of what he's already received, like on the legality side of things. So like I said, could mean a suspension, could mean a fine, could mean restrictions on York's involvement in the organization. And I'm not real sure how that would work in its entirety because he owns the team. So, but there's also governing bodies in terms of that too. So there's always that question. The other questions that are still remaining unanswered are just like, would something like this to this magnitude force like a sale of the San Francisco 49ers? I don't necessarily think so. I think people are going to try to blow it up to have it something different. Obviously, like you never want to find yourself in a legal manner of any kind of, any way, shape, or form, whether you're a person living normal life or you're a person, in an ownership or a franchise, that type of thing. So you never want to place yourself into that type of situation. Kyle Shanahan's response to San Francisco 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan has said the situation has not affected the football operations side whatsoever. Shanahan also characterized the manner as a personal manner and says the team remains focused on football. Players have also indicated that the situation has not become a locker room discussion. You can find that at the San Francisco Chronicle in its entirety. Like I said, my take, and I kind of pretty much given all my take between Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, and obviously the players. Everybody has a job to do. You have it's your duty to try and hold yourself as accountable and as professional as possible, especially in these types of spaces. Obviously, everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Like no one's gonna walk a line of just being on the up and up all the time. Good morning, Alfonso. How are you? Thank you for popping in. We're talking NFL here at the last part of our NFL segment. Talking Jed York and the interesting decision he made to have an escort, or was part of an escort sting, I should say, because that's really the basis of this entire thing. Either way, so now we're waiting to see what the league decides. Does the NFL, like I said, does the NFL issue a fine? Does York face a suspension? Does the league determine the legal resolution is enough in terms of punishment? We hopefully will find out soon. Hopefully, and maybe we won't find out. Maybe it'll just be something that's like, okay, hey, like you've gotten, you have to pay a fine. You had time served. Like, you have a little bit of a criminal record, if that's what we're going to call it, that type of thing. So, like I said, as we kind of transition into the next topic here, while the 49ers deal with the situation off the field and teams across the league are making their final roster cuts and decisions, trades are happening. We did talk about some trades at the top of the show. Contracts are getting done, and we're just kind of really getting closer to the real thing. So I'm not surprised that we're here talking about something to this magnitude right now, especially with preseason still underway. Got the last couple preseason games starting, I believe, through the rest of the week into Sunday. And then we got about a couple weeks off, or a week or two off of NFL football. But college football starts tomorrow, which we will talk about on Friday. We will have some results of week 0 in terms of Thursday night. We will not have a show tomorrow. No broadcast tomorrow because it's, like I said, it's my baby's first day of school tomorrow. And I'm dropping her off. I also have to work until 1:00 tomorrow morning. So I'll be scraping for sleep and scraping for rest before I have to turn around and go back at 3 p.m. So no show tomorrow, but I'm here with you now for the next 34 minutes. So what's up? Chopping it up with P. Scott. Welcome in. I appreciate you for joining me here. If you're still here with me, go ahead and please tap the screen, share it all on both sides for all things sports content as well. And another point of view in terms of sports, make sure you're following Chopping It Up with P. Scott here on TikTok and the Sports Avenger Sports Network. I appreciate you. My God, you know it. No sleep till Brooklyn. That's how we do it out here. Either way, time to drop the merch. Listen, if you guys are rocking with me and you're rocking with the brand and you're rocking with us here at the Unknown Network, need you to grab the MackTruck merch. Don't have any on today. Got some Golden State Warriors on. Talking Golden State Warriors basketball and stuff here towards the end of the show. Dick Tracy, welcome in. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you here in the morning talking sports. But we're talking merchandise right now. Head over to inmybag.bigcartel.com or check out the TikTok shop on here as well to get you some In My Bag apparel gear, MackTruck gear, all things MackTruck apparel for your liking. Like I said, I don't have anything on me right now, which I probably should have because I am cold, but it's fine. Either way, we got the newest addition to the line, Unknown University, just dropped on Monday. And I will tell you this, if you know your HBCUs, you will be highly invested in this line. Like I said, my cart currently is sitting at $2,500 and I'm about to start working overtime. So don't be surprised when you start to see some new stuff up in here. But right now, when you head over to inmybag.bigcartel.com or check us out here on the TikTok shop and use the code word truck, you'll use 15% off your entire first order. That's code word truck, TRUCK, for 15% off your entire order for lines such as the MackTruck collection, as well as the newest Unknown University that just dropped on Monday. On top of that, still with West Coast Legends, Bulls Dynasty, Ring Me, and so much more. Like I said, make sure you follow, like, share, and subscribe to all things In My Bag Apparel and Customs, the official sponsor and co-founder of the MackTruck podcast, the MackTruck show in its entirety. Thank you guys for joining me here on the show. I see everybody. Please go ahead and tap the screen. Let's get some of these goals taken care of. Let's get some more action here in the chat. In the show, like I said, just about 1:05 here, Eastern Standard Time. I'm gonna kind of fly through these next couple topics here. Moving over into the WNBA, just some recap and a controversy involving Enes Kanter Freedom and Natasha Cloud. And this entire controversy in terms of transgender athletes in the W has really just kind of, it chaps my ass. Okay, I'm just gonna throw that out there. It chaps my ass. And I have no shame, and I'm fully firm on my stance. But that doesn't mean I'm not obviously willing to understand or listen or hear anybody else's stances, for the record. I would throw that out there. I kind of talked about it last week in depth, talked about it the week before in depth when it started happening. Now this, I feel like at this point, it's just kind of redundant. And I feel like Enes Kanter is trying, I love the way you say controversy. That's what it is. It's a controversy. I don't know how other people say it, but it's a controversy in its entirety. Either way, starting off with some recaps here from yesterday night, Tuesday night. The Connecticut Sun beat the Chicago Sky 87-81. The Connecticut Sun pick up the road victory in Chicago. Top performers, Aaliyah Edwards with 26 points, 10 rebounds. Camila Cardoso for the Chicago Sky, one half of the former Chicago Skyline. Shout out Big E Money. Thunder Bradfield with the nickname tag. If you know that conversation, you know that means you're an OG of this entire thing here. Either way, Camila Cardoso, 24 points, 13 rebounds for Chicago. Controversy, exactly. Chicago fought back late, but Connecticut held on to find the win, and you could get this information at ESPN.com. Dallas Wings go over to Portland and get this one and clinch the final WNBA playoff spot. Dallas Wings win this one 96-78. Dallas took care of business against Portland again. Paige Becker's 22 points, 11 assists. Jessica Shepard on the other side for the Portland Fire, 21 points, 9 rebounds in its entirety. Like I said, with the win for Dallas, they have officially clinched the last playoff spot in the WNBA playoffs, returning to the postseason for the first time since 2023. And you can find that information at bleacherreport.com. So let me just tell you this. I think Dallas needed to take care of business. Look at me talking business. Business is crazy. Either way, they needed to take care of business to get that final spot. They were in battle for that final spot with the Portland Fire, and they have now knocked the Portland Fire out of playoff contention. I am interested to see how this playoff run goes for Dallas because they lost AZ Fudge. She obviously number 1 overall draft pick in this year's 2026 WNBA draft in its entirety. Did lose the rest of her rookie season to a knee injury. Like I said, I don't know if the tear was on her recently repaired knee from a couple years ago in college, or if it's the other side, I'm not sure. Hopefully we can get some more of those details here soon. So here's the WNBA playoff picture here with Dallas again punching its ticket. 8 teams have now been determined, and here they are: the Minnesota Lynx, Golden State Valkyries, the Las Vegas Aces, Atlanta Dream, my Indiana Fever, the New York Liberty, the Washington Mystics, surprisingly after the past couple seasons they have had, and the Dallas Wings round out the top 8 in playoff contention. So now the rest of the teams in the WNBA are literally playing just to either try to get their record to 500 at the end of the season, or just to finish out on a high note going into the early start of their off season. Like I said, the remaining teams are still fighting for those final positions in terms of the solidification of the WNBA playoff spots. Again, you can find this information at ESPN.com. Now, current storylines. Okay, the storylines for the WNBA. If you know, you know. We're talking about Enes Kanter Freedom and the update. So here's the skinny. Let's get into it. Controversies, drama, all the things. Former NBA player Enes Kanter Freedom has been banned from attending Chicago Sky home games at Wintrust Arena following his confrontation with Sky guard Natasha Cloud. So, for those of you who don't remember, this past weekend there was a game in Chicago played versus the Indiana Fever. Enes Kanter Freedom happened to be there. And this entire time that this whole drama story as far as the WNBA and some of its player stances on transgender athletes has gone kind of one way, kind of gone the other, then it kind of settled. And now we have people such as Royce White and Enes Kanter Freedom that are making a horrible attempt to make a mockery of the stances of some of the WNBA players. Obviously, Enes Kanter has been known to go on record saying that he's going to try to draft for the WNBA 2027 draft, which he can't do because 1, he's not in college, and 2, he doesn't actually identify as a female. And I'm going to say this, and I honestly don't give a damn what any of y'all think in here. I don't care how you feel as far as my opinion. I'm glad that you have your own opinions and all the things, but this is how I feel specifically. I don't give a shit who you are. If you truly identify as the gender that you are aligning yourself with, you should have an opportunity to play sports at a high level. I don't care who you are. Just because you were born the opposite of the gender you are currently or identify with does not mean you should not be afforded to have the opportunity to play professional sports. Unfortunately, this topic with the WNBA gets hairy because you have people like Enes Kanter Freedom who wear shirts with the definition of what a woman is or should be, and then tries to attack Natasha Cloud. First of all, Natasha Cloud would whoop your ass. I'm sorry. I don't give a damn. Natasha Cloud would beat his ass. I don't care. Like, just because you're a dude does not automatically give you a physical advantage. Is science a thing? Yes, absolutely. But science has also been disproven. Is there a slim margin that science gets disproven when it comes to anatomy? Absolutely, but it still happens. Either way, Enes Kanter is also old and doesn't play anymore. So, my question is what you trying to do, bro? Like, what are you trying to do? Like, what are you trying to attempt? Like, because you didn't really make the mockery out of the league like you were trying to. Obviously, the WNBA has also come out and stated that Royce White, and Enes Kanter Freedom are not eligible to play in the WNBA because they do not identify as women in its entirety. So if you have any comments or questions, concerns, thoughts on this topic, go ahead and drop it in the chat. Like I said, if you guys are still in here, it's a little stagnant in here, so on both sides. So let's get some likes up. Only got 2.5 likes. Let's get it shared out. Let's hit some of these numbers here, please. I would really appreciate it. Trying to get the algorithm back out there. Like I said, we're trying to take this thing as far as possible. Good morning, Nader Gator. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you here. Either way, so like I said, Enes Kanter was ejected after an exchange with Natasha Cloud during the Chicago Sky's game against the Indiana Fever in Wintrust Arena, and he was removed from the arena. Chicago Sky owner Michael Alter announced that Enes Kanter is not permitted back inside Wintrust Arena unless the organization determines that he can attend games without being a considerable threat. And you can find this at Reuters.com. First of all, Enes Kanter is not a threat to anybody. He's not a threat to anybody. And I say that because like he's not intimidating. I'm not saying that he's not threatening presence, because he has a threatening presence because there's fans around, all the things. I'm saying he doesn't intimidate anybody, especially Natasha Cloud. No, like, and I don't understand where this strange stigma comes from, where people think that because you're a dude, you're automatically intimidating. I don't give a damn who you are. You could be Jesus Christ himself. You don't intimidate me. You also have never walked, a day in somebody else's shoes. So you don't know what you don't know what that person's gone through. I see some comments here. I think the transgender convo is mainly men transitioning into women wanting to be in women's spaces, which I completely understand. There are people that do that. You're absolutely correct. But what people need to also consider is there are also individuals that complete a transition and that have, that also have a place of belonging. I think this whole thing of people like, oh, create a transgender league. No, you can't do that because there's not enough transgender athletes to create a league. And two, if you take that to court, they are going to win depending on your state, obviously, but in a court of law, probably about 67% of the time, that case on discrimination is going to win in the favor of that individual. That would be like saying all black people don't get to play sports because they're black. Like, how like that's insanity, especially in 2026. Like, unfortunately, there's just no way to really make it fair to where where transgender athletes don't feel discriminated against, and where women's sports doesn't necessarily feel like it's being more of a laughing stock, that type of thing. Not every transgender athlete is coming into a women's space to be threatening or to be in a place to where they're trying to better their morale because they didn't make it somewhere else. I really need people to understand that. Like, people don't understand that being transgender does not automatically mean I'm trying to go into the opposite space and better my morale because I didn't make it somewhere else. I'm doing it if I were in this position, I'm doing it because I want to be able to play fucking sports. I want to be able to play at a high level and still be able to identify and align with who I am. And I see some comments in women's sports. I just like, yeah, and I'm dismissing that because I've already talked about it. So I'm not trying to be rude or anything. And yes, that is absolutely a thing. We talked about the anatomy, we talked about the biology of the things, all of it. But the other thing is there's this cool thing called Title IX. That's also why Title IX is a thing, because it gives equal opportunity for women to play sports, women and girls to play sports in boys' spaces, and vice versa. Title IX is not just primarily for girls and women. Let me just rephrase that. So, like I said, and that's the other thing, and thank you, DT, for bringing that up, is you don't hear a lot of transgender conversations with female to male. It's always male to female that we're always talking about, hearing about all these types of things, because a lot of transgender people, athletes, individuals want to just live their life and be respected with what they identify as. They're not necessarily out here trying to ruin people's lives. They're not necessarily out here trying to do extra stuff. But for those individuals who are athletes, it's twice as difficult. It's twice as difficult. And being a female and having played with transgender athletes in the sport of football and having the athletic background I do, that's why I push. That's why I've always also been for mixed gender sports. I have always been that way. I've played with the boys, played with the men. Like I am that 1 to 2%, 0 to 2% in terms of like outlier. So like obviously the outlier in itself is always going to be way less than the majority and even the minority in itself. So like I said, I completely understand all these points, and I'm not saying yeah, so in Amber, and I love the eye rolls. I love the dictation and the dialogue that you have. But there's no reason to come in here and be disrespectful because we're having a conversation. And that's actually incorrect, because there have been a lot of females that played college football in men's spaces. There's been MMA fighters that train with dudes that are twice as big as them. And I'll tell you this, I don't think a dude could fare on a women's competitive team, because part of the reason is because the athletics are different. That is absolutely correct. But yes, DT, absolute. I do believe it should be co-ed. I've always thought that. Like I said, I'm one random outlier, and obviously the majority is always going to to be seen outside over the outlier. So, and as much engagement as I see in here, I don't see a lot of taps. I don't see a lot of numbers moving. So let's try to get the conversation moving. Let's try to get some more people in here, share it out. Either way, back to the conversation here, here on the MackTruck show, MackTruck in the morning. I appreciate you guys for being here. Like I said, this conversation was going to happen. I just was trying to figure out when to get it to happen, talk about it, all the things. And like I said, I appreciate all the dialogue. I appreciate all of the cohesiveness, the healthy conversation. I'm not trying to be rude or disrespectful, but when people come in here and try to be disrespectful to make a point that I've already talked about, it's kind of redundant. Like I said, you guys have your opinion, I have mine, and there's no reason why we can't have a conversation about it in its entirety. So either way, back to the meat and bones of it. Like I said, Enes Kanter has been was ejected this weekend, has been banned from Wintrust Arena unless he can unless the Chicago Sky organization deems that he can come in and not be a threat to fans and all the things. Like I said, he's not intimidating to anybody, at least from my perspective. He's just doing too much. It is what it is. Either way, the controversy started because Enes Kanter, again, attended the game and was wearing a shirt defining the definition of an adult female. Like I don't know if anybody saw the game, but he had a pink and black shirt on. It had like the textbook definition of a woman, all the things, parentheses, woman, the definition, all the things. And I don't necessarily see anything wrong with what he wore. Like, there's a thing called freedom of speech. And I'm never going to be one to sit and be like, oh, you can't express how you feel. I've never been like that. I am going to tell you where I disagree, just like you're going to tell me where you disagree, all of the things. And like the side eyes and the eye rolls are all cool and all the things. Like, you can have your opinions and, roll them up and eat them too. And I see that individual who had an issue with me left, and I think it's funny. So, I mean, sayonara. If you don't like it, I really fucking don't care. Unfollow me, block me, cry about it, bitch about it. I don't give a shit. We're having a healthy conversation. If you can't be adult enough to listen to somebody else's opinion on an opposing side, then that shows how immature you are as an adult female. So, Amber, shout out to you, and I'm gonna call you out because you're being disrespectful and rude. So, but there's no reason to block her, all the things. Like I said, I don't care. Like, this is my platform. This is an open platform. I'm here for open dialogue. These types of conversations suck to have across the board. And the fact we have to talk about it in sports also sucks. So, either way. So, like I said, he was removed, all the things. Michael Alter came out and had a conversation. The draft issue is where the other part of this conversation has come in. So, like I said, Enes Kanter officially publicized that he was trying to enter the WNBA draft in 2027, which physically is impossible because he's not, one, he doesn't identify as a female. Two, you're not in college. You have to be in college to enter the WNBA draft or play in an overseas professional league of some kind, which you haven't done for a while. So you already can't enter the draft on that alone. Either way. However, like I said, reports indicate that Enes Kanter Freedom and former NBA player Royce Wright are not eligible to play in the WNBA under the league's current eligibility requirements. But I understand the loophole that they took with this, because the WNBA specifically does not have a policy regarding transgender individuals. Which is, and I honestly appreciate where they took this, because like it shows it puts the WNBA and Kathy Engelbert back in the spotlight. Like, y'all have to tighten up, because if you're really truly, making this about women's sports, female sports, all the things, and from their account, this is me talking from their account, not my own account, as far as how, like, my personal opinion, all the things. But if you, as a WNBA, Women's National Basketball Association, are looking at this from that point of view and wanting to advance women's sports across the board, you have to tighten those types of things up. They literally just proved that there's a huge hole in its policy, or in its policies, multiple policies, all the things. And I cannot be mad at those two for saying, like, okay, well, if you're, like, there's no specific rule that says this, I'm just going to identify. I think it's stupid that you fucking did that. Like, okay, you're just going to identify to try to prove a point, but you did it to prove a point. Like, y'all need to wake up and be specific about, who can play, all the things. So I appreciate the fact that they were like, hey, like, I'm putting y'all on Front Street type of thing. But to sit there and really cause a disruption because you're mad that you really thought that you was going to have a chance to come in and play. No, I don't Yeah, that's not cool. And I see some comments here. We can disagree. Yeah, no, and like I said, Amber, I'm not trying to be an ass, but like the way you came in at me, I was not appreciative of outside your dialogue. Your dialogue was perfectly fine, but the eye rolling and the snide side eyes and all the things was not needed. But it all comes with the conversation. I'm not up or down about it, but I'm gonna call it out like I see it. So I'm sorry, but not sorry. But I still don't care. Like, we can have a healthy conversation just like you, just like me, just like everybody else has been in here in this entirety. Like I said, I appreciate you for joining me here. Wrapping up the WNBA segment here in its entirety. Like I said, I personally think pro sports should be mixed, because if you mix them, nobody can say that somebody has a physical advantage. Nobody can say that, oh, men play too far for women or women play too soft. No, we're integrating the sports and making a bunch of giant sports leagues with men and women. Or if we can't do that, then we actually need to find a way and more ways to integrate fandom and better fandom on both sides of the coin. Like, people say, oh, I'm a football fan. Are you? Do you know about the women's tackle game? Because that tells me you're just a fan of college football or NFL. You're not really a fan of tackle football. Oh, you're a basketball fan? Do you watch the WNBA? Do you watch FIBA? Do you watch men's and women's college? Oh, okay, cool. Do you watch FIFA soccer? Do you watch the World Cup? Do you watch football? We have to find ways to increase the fandom and pay scales for the women's leagues if we're going to keep them separate. And I don't think, and that's a good point, Amber. I like that point, but I don't necessarily agree with you. I think it depends on the sport. Also, I think it would also depend on what kind of like parameters they use, as far as like, okay, what scale are we going to use for criteria for this side? What scale criteria are we going to use for this side? But that's a good point. I'm not going to say that it's not. She said, yeah, but if you mix them, girls wouldn't play enough unless they had set play. And like I said, it depends on the sport. And you can't really generalize. You can't really use that generalization for certain sports. Like, I think you can use it more for contact sports, depending on the contact sport. But even in that entirety, if you mixed it, you'd have to find a brand new type of criteria to base playing time and everything off of. You're just talking basketball. Okay. Basketball is one of those things I feel like is very, basketball to me is one of those things that's very like it's there's so much gray area. Hi, Giving Love, welcome, and thank you for joining me here today on the MackTruck Show, talking sports, just having a nice conversation about the drama in the WNBA and my opinion on having mixed gender sports. And I completely understand that I am an outlier and not a lot of people agree with me, and I'm totally fine with that. And I understand people are not going to agree, that I'm not going to agree with people, and I'm totally fine with that. But just in terms of basketball, like I said, basketball is the gray area because there's 5 different positions on the court for either team, obviously 10 on 10, all the things. And I feel like you obviously, to make it equal on both sides, you'd have to have, depending on obviously demographics, strength, positions, records, stats, all the things, like you'd have to be able to maneuver that. And I think that's one of the biggest problems is, how do you maneuver making a lineup for position for sports with positions like basketball, sports with the positions like football, sports with positions like baseball. Baseball, you might be able to get away with it because you don't necessarily have to have a specific demographic to play those positions. Like, you don't have to be 6 foot, or the expectation isn't to be 6'2" and play shortstop, or the expectation to play right field isn't being 6'9" like Aaron Judge and having a cannon arm. Like, if you can play the position, they're going to put you there in its entirety. I like 3 boys and 2 girls on the course. I will agree with that. I like that. Or if you have a female that's, I would say 6'2", 6'1" and up, I would say you could flip it. But I absolutely agree with that. I would like more guys on the court at one time than girls, and then one rotation, flip it, have more girls than guys, because you're still going to end up having 5 of each at some point from both sides. But either way, point of the matter is Royce Wright and Enes Kanter Freedom have found a loophole in the WNBA policy in terms of transgender players, athletes, all the things. I love where they went with it. I hate the attempt that they made, but I love the fact that they're like, okay, we're going to we're going to make this point as far as the WNBA a laughing stock, which is what they did. And now the WNBA front office is backed up into a corner yet again. I mean, and anybody that's listened to my show or that's listened to me knows that I've never been a huge fan of Kathy Engelbert. I think the way she has handled some of the things in the league and the ways that she does not speak or have relations with a lot of her players, which are the people that make her fucking money, is a problem to me. Like, obviously, you're not going to be best friends with them. You're not going to be, like, you're not going to go to lunch and hang out and all the things unless you're on the player organization, all the things. I think that she can do a better job of being personable. I think that she can do it. Thank you for the donut, Amber. I appreciate it. I think she can do just a better job being an approachable individual, if it makes sense, outside of, like, her league meetings and the WNBA, all the things. Either way, I love the fact that they found the loophole. I love the fact that they're exposing it. I need the WNBA to do better and alleviate this, put out a new policy, whatever that looks like. Either way. But I'm going to close this. I'm going to close out this section before we move on to the last segment here. And then I got to run the store and get my baby girl some stuff before I go to work. And I got to get my wife some allergy meds because she also does not feel good. We're a little sick household right now. All the weather has kind of screwed us up. Baby goes back to school tomorrow. So like I said, there will be no show Thursday, but we will be back Friday around the same time. I also have to work late tonight. So I don't want to work till 1 a.m., then try to put a docket, then get 6 hours of sleep. And then it's going to be rough. So work smarter, not harder. Taking another day break on a Thursday. But we have had weeks where we've gone 5 straight days. Past couple weeks have not. But it's okay. But that's what we are here to build consistency for. Either way, like I said, people are allowed to have their opinions. I appreciate all dialogue. I appreciate all disagreements. I appreciate the entire thing. And Amber, I will apologize because I feel like I came hot at you and maybe misunderstood what you were trying to say or express. And if that is the case, like I said, I do apologize. I'm not trying to steer your way or not, want you to come in and have these conversations, but I'm just very blunt when it comes to my opinions, but I'm also very blunt about making sure everybody else's opinions are heard and understood. And if I misunderstood you in any way, I do apologize. Either way, people are allowed to have their opinions. People allowed to disagree about gender, sports, politics, all the things. But when you're attending a professional sporting event, and especially an escalation, knowing who you are in the spaces that are like that as well is very difficult, if that makes sense. As I the Chicago Sky made the decision right now. Enes Kanter is not allowed in the building. Okay. Either way, Enes Kanter's not allowed in the building, all the things. So we're going to see what that looks like. Going to see if they have conversations. Going to see if they can work it out, all the things. I'm for it. They've banned Enes Kanter from the arena, all Chicago Sky events. But I want to know what the WNBA and the league is going to do about it in its entirety. I want to know what they're going to do. When are you going to come out with a new policy? That's the biggest thing right now. What are you going to do for the policy? What's up, G? Welcome in. Thank you for joining us, tapping the screen, all the things. Hi, Melissa. I see you guys in here. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I'm getting through all of it because we got one more segment to go before we're off for a day and then back on Friday. But if you're new here, thank you for joining me. My name is MackTruck here, MackTruck in the morning, MackTruck morning-ish podcast, all things sports and opinions from a female's point of view. I appreciate you guys for joining me. Please go ahead and tap the screen. Let's get the numbers up. I see some of the numbers up. I appreciate all of it. Thank you so much. Listen. Like I said, WNBA got to tighten it up. Okay. I don't know how. I don't know what that looks like, but the WNBA has to get a hold on it because people and athletes are going to try to find holes in your category, your realm, your sport, your art, all the things. So moving on. But before we do, got to shout out the network again. Listen, like I said, make sure you are following the Underknown Network for all things sports, culture, and entertainment. Okay. Also presented to you by the Tara Thomas Agency and the Underknown Network itself. Make sure you're following on the map music reviews, flying out with that dude Biggs and the MackTruck show, especially the Recognized Game pod that will air and kick off, I believe, soon. I know we had to reschedule it to do some stuff, but everything is there for your leisure when you're following on all social media platforms, including our personal one, including the network pages itself. You can find the playbacks of my episodes on Apple Podcasts under the MackTruck Show, MackTruck Podcast. I did not get a chance to upload yesterday's yesterday's conversation and show. So tonight, once I get back, I will be up for about an hour uploading yesterday's show and today's show. That way, both shows are updated. I hope my little guest is going to come in here. Maybe. I have a daily guest who likes to come and say hi to everybody if you guys have been a part of the show for a while. So, also, I don't want to sound like I'm begging, but I really set a goal on my TikTok, and I would really appreciate it if somebody would help me get that. All I'm asking for today is just a gold necklace. Just a gold medal necklace. That's all. Because that'll put me into the next gift gallery starting Sunday. So if somebody would try their best to do that for me, I would appreciate it. Moving on into the last topic here. Just some NBA talk, trades, details, all the things, acquisitions here on the MackTruck show, just about 1:30 in the afternoon here. Last topic of the day. Then I got to go run the store. Like I said, I'm feeling not great. So if I sound a little groggy or if I sound a little off, I do apologize. Also brought to you by a cold cup of coffee. Still great. Still great. I don't care what anybody says. This cup of coffee is fire. It don't matter if it's cold. I wasn't going to say they're wet because it just sounded so wrong. Either way, we're here. I'm here for you. Let's talk about it. Klay Thompson takes his talents to the Miami Heat. So he joins Bam Adebayo, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and the squad down there, Pat Riley as well. Down, like I said, Klay Thompson and the Dallas Mavericks agreed to a contract buyout after 2 seasons in Dallas. He cleared waivers and signed with Miami on a 2-year, approximately $11.5 million contract, with the second year being a player option. You can find this information at NBA.com. Klay Thompson reportedly wanted the opportunity to play for a contender, which makes sense. Obviously, we all know his tenure with the Golden State Warriors. Here's some of the stats that Klay Thompson has acquired in his tenure as an NBA player. Okay, 5-time NBA All-Star, obviously a 4-time NBA champion with the Golden State Warriors. Thank you for the daily, Harmony. I appreciate it. Has 2,899 career three-pointers. He's fourth all-time in May three-pointers. Has a career shooting three-point percentage of just 41% at 40.9. He is 36 years old. Last season in Dallas averaged just about 12 points at 11.7. And in the last 3 seasons from 3, he has averaged just under 40% at 3 with 38.3%. Klay Thompson also holds the NBA record for three-pointers made in a game, one single game, which is 14. You can also find this information at Reuters.com. A big part of this move was, like I said, Klay was scheduled to make an approximate $17.5 million in his final year in Dallas. By agreeing to the buyout and joining the Miami Heat, Klay Thompson gave up the significant amount of money to put himself in a better position, obviously, to compete for another championship. A lot of the old era of players that we've known, Steph, Dre, LeBron, all those are starting to close out their tenures and are looking to find another chip, which I love. I really wish Golden State would just have bit the dust and given him the damn contract to keep the core alive. But sometimes you got to make a change to resurge into your career. And I see some comments here. I like Klay Thompson as a player, but he did my girl Megan wrong, so I'm disappointed. So I have my own opinions on that whole controversy in terms of Klay Thompson and Megan Thee Stallion. I love Megan Thee Stallion. I love Klay Thompson, but we only really heard one side of the story. Okay, in terms of that, like she came out and said he cheated and did all the things, but we never really heard him speak about his side of things. So I get the disappointment in terms of like being a fan of Megan Thee Stallion and all the things, but like we got to kind of keep it fair. Like, and Klay Thompson's never been a guy to just publicly come out and talk about his personal life, so that may also be it as well. But we got to kind of understand that there's 2 sides to every story, right? There's 2 sides to every controversy, all the things. So moving on, kind of flying by in this entirety in terms of the NBA and all the things. Like I said, he was scheduled to make $17.5 million, had the buyout to Miami in its entirety. Wanted to put himself into another position to compete for another championship. He did say the opportunity to win again at a high level was the majority of the reason of him going to Miami. Obviously, with them picking up Giannis Antetokounmpo was a thing. Alfonso, I talked about DeWanna Bonner yesterday. So you did miss yesterday's episode. I did talk about DeWanna Bonner, but we may touch base on it again Friday if some news or anything has come out. He's a great player, so good for him. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you, Amber, for sure. I think Klay Thompson, even though he'd been in that Golden State system for such a long time, like I think putting him in either a similar system or an even more high-powered efficiency system is going to put him right back into that spot to where he wants to be. Got some questions from Zyra here. Let's see. I'm looking forward to seeing how my Heat look. Hopefully, Giannis and I think getting Giannis and Clay is going to help Bam Adebayo out a lot, especially because they moved Tyler Hero and a bunch of those other random pieces as well. So I'm excited to see what this looks like for the Heat. I'm excited to see for all the new pieces. I'm excited to see where this takes them. Moving on, like I said, Miami now has Bam, Giannis, and Clay. Clay gives Miami obviously another elite shooter opening in space, and if he gets hot, he can shoot you about 14 to 15 three-pointers, so he might even break his own record if he gets a chance. Either way, so going into the Golden State Warriors, this is why I'm wearing the shirt. I'm a Golden State Warrior fan, have been a Golden State Warrior fan since Monty Ellis, David Lee, and Baron Davis, so I don't want to hear none of y'all try to come at me. Golden State's been my team since I've been a kid, so Golden State has acquired some interesting people like Georges Niang. So anybody who remembers Georges Niang, he was a phenom at Iowa State during their huge run back in, I believe, 2012, 2013. Went to the Elite Eight, all the things. But now he is a part of the Golden State Warriors squad as a veteran player, comes in on a one-year, $3.9 million contract. We do not say go Cyclones in here. That's not a thing. Not happening. This is a Hawkeye State. You should know this right now. Stop that. Anyway, Georges Niang enters his 11th NBA season, and his career shooting percentage from three is 40. He missed the entire 25-2026 season, recovering from foot injury. Before the injury, he averaged about 10 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 2 assists during the 24-25 season. I'm excited to see that they're picking up all these pieces. Golden State also picked up Brandon Williams. Golden State also agreed to a one-year, $2.6 million contract. Again, with Brandon Williams, averaged 13 points, 4 assists, 66 games last year with Dallas as well. So Dallas is moving around some pieces to Golden State. Georges Niang signs that contract with the Golden State Warriors. So I'm interested to see how this goes. I'm not sure what that lineup's going to look like. Maybe I'll try to analyze it. We'll have another show about it in the next couple days. Listen, Ariel, we don't say that trash here. Go Cyclones is not a thing. This is not Cyclone anything. Although I live in Sparty Nation, we don't do that here either. It's all Iowa. Oh, listen, on Iowa, around Iowa, until the game is won, there's no Cyclone nothing here. There's no Go Sparty. There's no Big Red. None of that crap, especially Big Red. We don't do nothing with Nebraska. Either way, we'll talk college sports another day. Last topic here. DeMar DeRozan goes to Denver. The Denver Nuggets add 6-time All-Star DeMar DeRozan to a one-year, $3.9 million contract. DeMar DeRozan averaged 18.4 points a game, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds last season. Denver's looking for the veteran scoring and a couple other pieces to add with the Joker Nikola Jokic there as well. I'm excited to see that a lot of these veterans are getting like the veteran minimums, but they're good veteran minimums. They're not like $1.5 million or like just under 3. It's $3 million or more for their veteran minimums so far, depending on everything. So, Mr. Mitchell's in the building. Welcome. I will have a lead in football, but not basketball. Listen. When was the last time Iowa State made it to the Final Four or even the Elite Eight? If you can't tell me that, I don't want to hear you run your mouth about Iowa State anything, okay? Because last I checked, the Iowa men made it to the Elite Eight last year. Iowa State didn't. Either way, listen, don't come here and talk shit if you don't want me to talk shit back. Me and my cold coffee going to roast you. Either way, I appreciate you guys for being here. Go ahead and tap the screen. Got one more half topic here to talking about the NBA 5-team trade that I didn't even know was a thing until I was writing my notes. So I'm interested, but this also tells me a reason why people are switching all the things. Just about 1:45 here on Hump Day. So go ahead and tap the screen, share it out. Let's try to get to 10K taps in the next 5 minutes, if you will. 10K taps. Let's do it. I really want somebody to send me that gold medal. That'd be great. I would appreciate it. I got my donuts. Again, shout out to Amber. Shout out to everybody who's been in here. I appreciate you guys so much for joining me here. Let's get a follow refresh. Let's get all of the things going if we can. If we had Jefferson, we would. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't have, because you guys weren't consistent enough to do it. You can't. You can't just have one player and be consistent. No. Sorry, Jake. I disagree with you. But that's okay. Like I said, that's what we're here to talk sports for. Either way, back to the 5-team trade in the NBA that happened that nobody really heard of. Okay, so the Cavaliers, the Hornets, the Wizards, the Clippers, and the Nuggets were all involved in a 5-team trade transaction. Some of the major pieces included Cleveland getting Peyton Watson and Cam Whitmore, Los Angeles Clippers getting Max Strus, the Charlotte Hornets getting Dennis Schroeder, and the Washington Wizards getting Trey Mann. I almost said Washington Mystics. That's how much WNBA we've been talking when you get both teams mixed up so often. Either way, the bigger question is which team actually improved their rotations with this move? Listen, like I said, Cleveland's getting younger. The Clippers got shooting. Charlotte is getting that veteran point guard. Obviously, after sending LaMelo Ball to Minnesota to play with Ant-Man, that's going to be interesting. Still can't wait. Oh, let's go, Zaria! Oh, thank you, Zaria. Listen, Zaria. Listen, big shout out. Listen, like I said, I try to set daily goals. Ironically enough, I got my gift gal lit like super early this week, so I'm just like trying to find ways to keep everything going. So I appreciate it. Thank you, ma'am, for that. Either way, the 5-team trade was interesting to me because now it shows me that, okay, so people were making cap space and then putting veterans in the veteran minimums to fulfill their roster. So listen, I appreciate that. I try to be a gem. I'm a little bit of an a-hole, but I'm just very passionate about sports, and I'm very passionate about talking to people, telling sports stories, and just using my athletic experience in the way that I can tell stories and everything. I'm wondering if my daughter's going to come here. My daughter comes in here daily to and Dre. I still think they should go after Anthony Davis. So that's just me. But he's got to stay healthy. Either way, Denver. You got Denver obviously adding DeMar DeRozan will add that additional scoring option with the Joker over there as well. Dallas does what it does, moves around the roster to obviously kind of build and rebuild around Cooper Flag. So this is all interesting to me. The 5-team trade is crazy. The signings for Golden State's interesting. The Denver getting DeMar DeRozan, which also makes me wonder if somehow Kyle Lowry will end up as his teammate again. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I want to see. Like I have all these like weird scenarios in my head. Either way, we're here. I got about 5 more minutes left before I get off of here. I'm going to text my wife and have her send my baby in here. But like I said, it's a little cloudy here in Michigan today. It's just about 1:45 in the afternoon. I appreciate you guys for being here with me. Thank you for tapping the screen, sharing it out. Like I said, we won't have a show tomorrow. It's my baby's first day of school. She's only 4, and I'm taking her to school tomorrow. And I missed school drop off last year because I was in the process of moving up here. So we will not have a show tomorrow. We will, however, have a show Friday, going over the results of the Little League World Series. Going to talk about Kylie Ramos as well. Going to talk about the Davenport Denver Northwest team. Hopefully they keep advancing. All the things. I need to know. I don't know if she's coming in here. I'm kind of offended. There we go. Perfect. So, yeah, like I said, that's all. It's really all I got for you today. I'm waiting to see if I hear her. Yeah, hi, boo. You want to say hi?
I want to make a show.
You want to make a show? Well, you got to say something in the microphone.
I can't see myself.
Well, you can't be in the camera, boo. You got to say something in the microphone like you always do.
Hi-ha!
Yeehaw. You're
Hi, ladies.
Hi, ladies. Hi, ladies.
You want to hear a song?
Oh, listen, I don't know, Mom, do we have time for her to sing a song? I don't know, I can't hear. Give the crowd a short song and then we're gonna end it because I gotta go to the store and get you some stuff.
For me? For
Yeah.
school?
Yeah, for snacks and all the things.
Because I'm the best star in the world.
Yeah, you are the best star in the world. You're the only one. Oh,
La 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 la. Look at my underwear. Look at my underwear.
look at my underwear. That's well. Listen.
Eating my underwear.
Oh, that's crazy. Things a 4-year-old says. I love her so much. Also, everybody in the chat say hi to Babe because Babe didn't pop in the chat and say hi. Listen, she's ready for On the Map. I know it. She's such a ham, man. That little girl keeps me on my feet. She is. Yeah, listen, Babe didn't pop in the chat today. I'm offended.
I'm gonna watch football.
She's gonna watch football. This is what she does. She comes here and says hi, makes her appearance, and sits on the floor and watches whatever's on the screen. Today it's Little League baseball, but everything's football to her. I don't care. I love it. My baby's loving sports. We're here. And either way, I gotta sign off. I love y'all. I'll see you Friday. If you're not in the MackTruck community chat,
Bye,
please.
Princess Frog.
She said, "Bye, Princess Frogs." Bye, Princess Frogs. Make sure you drop me a DM and I'll add you to it. Like I said, it's not going to be anything crazy, just dropping the docket and getting some takes from you guys. But I appreciate you for having me on your last hour and a half coupon day. She's obsessed with coupon day. Her daddy is a coupon clipping fiend, and that's the thing that we have here in our house. Babe, say hi to everybody. She said hi way back there.
Say coupon day.
Say coupon day. Oh, either way, I love you guys and appreciate you. Thank you for joining me here. I got to run to the store really quick and be in time for work. So I love you all so much. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you on Friday. Stay tuned. Stay sporty. Be kind to one another.